today we live in the era of Microsoft DOS interfaces for AI, and there will be something more very visually enticing, something GUI-based. Think of it as there was Microsoft DOS and then Windows or Mac OS appeared. So there will be a different, I'd almost say operating system, a different interface layer on top of AI that will allow people to use all software, not just apps, but also AI models in this completely new, different way.
Welcome to Access, the tech industry's inside conversation, part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ellis Hamburger, here with my co-host, Alex Heath. And today we've got Eugenia Kuyda, the founder and CEO of Wabi, a new app for building apps. Apps inside your apps.
Apps inside your apps.
One of my favorite, most thoughtful founders. And we jammed a little bit on the Wabi launch, which we go into a bit, but I just feel like she has an ethos for what she's building that a lot of founders don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's got cred. What did she do before this?
She created Replika, which was like the OG AI chat companion app. I think they definitely treaded into the romance territory a lot faster than many others did. Now, 10, 15 years later, Elon Musk is trying to build your new AI date or side piece. How would you describe it? It's becoming mainstream finally. She's ahead of the curve.
Elon's going in a totally different direction, I think. She's very interesting. Like Replika was a very interesting company when it launched, and it still has a ton of users. I think it has millions of users. Just so it flies a little more under the radar relative to like Character and ChatGPT, obviously. But yeah, definitely an OG in the AI space, and Wabi is a super interesting product. Did you work on this manifesto that they put out?
Yes, we did. My bread and butter. You actually liked it?
I do like it. I like the play on like there's an app for that, and personalized software and all that. I mean, it's a theme we've been having on this show really since we launched, is this idea of personalized software.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because every single founder I've ever worked with and ever will work with wants to make their own Think Different or Apple 1984 ad, or maybe like subvert it or riff on it in some way. And it almost never works, but this was the kind of occasion where pushing off of app for that to do an app for you actually made some sense, because there's a real tension there, assuming that Apple doesn't cancel them before they can get off the ground. But I guess there's some new rules that she's privy to that they're following. And so, yeah, she seems confident they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Before we get into that, everything else good with you? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, kids sick again, getting me sick again. Round and round it goes. I've been playing the new Final Fantasy Tactics game for Switch, leveling up my mages when I have 18 minutes of toilet time in privacy. Makes you think about your life like an RPG in some ways. Like, I think I'm gonna level up my podcast skills with this new microphone. Did you ever think about your life that way? I don't know if you were ever a gamer.
Absolutely.
What are you leveling up at the moment?
Well, I haven't had time to game. I would say the last game I played all the way through was The Last Zelda on Switch, the sequel. Those two games are my favorite games.
Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, that I've played as an adult. Those are my favorite games by far. And definitely like had a lot of dreams about those games when I was playing them a lot, but I haven't in a while. I've been still heads down in just like new media startup mode, man. Going to New York next week, gonna have a Sources launch party with the fine folks at Human Ventures. Wish you could come. We will
Human or humid?
Human Ventures.
Kind of like Humid Ventures.
Human Ventures. No, they're great. It's going to be a great group. Pretty like interesting mix of media and tech folks, and we're gonna have poker too, so that'll be fun.
Are you plugging this, or invites open, or is this a VIP thing? I didn't hear about it, so I guess it's pretty exclusive.
I knew you were going to be in New York, man. If you can text me, you can still come. So if you have my number, reach out if you're going to be in New York. But we are pretty much at capacity, which was awesome. I spent a lot of time this week with the new leadership team for GitHub at Microsoft. So keeping with our vibe coding theme. Interviewed their new head of GitHub for sources.news. Will have been out by the time this drops, and about how they're thinking about the AI kind of developer ecosystem. So if you're interested in that stuff, check it out. And had a pretty big scoop about Snap actually last week. And
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
yeah, we can just talk about it real quickly. Just man, Evan's out there looking for some money for specs.
Snap's ties in the Middle East deepen.
Well, I think the most interesting thing is this idea of making specs like Waymo, so positioning it as this subsidiary that could be funded with outside investors, like a Alphabet style other bet. Basically,
I think the most interesting part is not that, but the original pictures of Snap CEO Evan Spiegel participating in falconry with the Saudi crown prince.
Oh, well, that's what you do when you go out there. They love falconry. You don't know that's like a rite of passage when you're visiting the royal family.
You speaking from experience?
No comment. But but no, yeah, just if you're into this AR glasses, race, and we talked about it with Samir last week. Check that scoop out about Snap's glasses plans and how they're restructuring. But yeah,
that was a good scoop, Alex.
Thank you. I'll try.
Give yourself a little pat on the back for that one.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I feel like, it's one thing when you're at a website like The Verge and you see traffic bumps when you get scoops and whatnot. I mean, how's that been so far with the newsletter?
It's the
subscriber bumps. Or
it's the thing that converts. It's the thing that converts someone to paid. It's pretty easy to get free, high churn, low engagement users, right? With like a sign up, chum box. But the thing that really builds your subscriber base is information people can't get anywhere else, whether it's like an interview or a scoop. And I've known that just working behind paywalls for much of my career, that's how it works. So everything I'm doing right now with sources is like, I'm trying to keep the quality bar really high and it'd be something you can't get anywhere else. And
it works if they cite you, right? I know they don't all, and then you get a little mad on Twitter, which I always like to see.
Oh, well, yeah, that's just inside journalism, baseball stuff. But yeah, people know when they're not linking, and I love to prod them. Is
there any person or publication that has cited you the least? Relatively. How deliberate is it?
There's a couple. I'd have to go back and count. It's very deliberate.
Some make it a practice. Like, what is it? Like the New York Times, like deliberately.
The New York Times has actually gotten a lot better. They used to be really bad about linking out, but they've gotten a lot better. It's actually some of the more digital first publications that are increasingly petty about this stuff. I don't know if it's wise for me to name names. I'm not trying to get into another minefield there, but I'll keep subtly jabbing at vague people that they know who they are on social media. But yeah, man, no, otherwise things are good. Excited for this convo with Eugenia.
Awesome. Let's kick it to Eugenia.
Support for this show comes from Mercury. Running a business is hard work. That's why Mercury makes managing your money as simple as can be, with banking, cards, spend management, invoicing, and more all in one place. It's banking at its most intuitive. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs who use Mercury to simplify their finances. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column NA members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. Good ideas can come from anywhere, but making them real can feel out of reach. Meet Figma Make, an AI-powered prompt-to-code tool that turns your ideas or your Figma designs into interactive, code-backed prototypes and apps in minutes. Whether you're a designer, product thinker, or founder, Figma Make helps you go from concept to something real, fast. And it all looks and feels just like your brand. Figma Make, a prompt-to-code tool for making ideas real. Try it now at figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access. Eugenia Kuyda, my friend and collaborator, welcome to the show.
Hey, Eugenia. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Alex and Alice. So good to see her.
How does it feel to be doing a podcast when you should probably be preparing launch materials for your public launch next week?
Well, it feels pretty hectic. We've really just been heads down, and it's a little bit tough because I'm used to just building one app, and now I feel like we're building an app that builds a million apps. So it feels like we're launching, I don't know, a million different apps, which is exponentially harder than just one app because now everything can go wrong. Like every single, there are like basically a gazillion bugs that could happen.
I was going to say that's a lot of bugs and a lot of app store guidelines to follow when you have apps inside of apps.
That is true, but they're mini apps. They're not really big apps. So, for the App Store has a carve out for mini apps. And with Wabi, you cannot use them outside of our platform.
She's saying this to the app review gods right now in Cupertino. It's mini apps. It's mini apps.
I'm trying. I'm a little,
They are the gods. They are the arbiters of truth as we've had it for how many years now? Like literally 2 decades. And I think that's like one of my favorite parts of your teaser website that you just went up with. And we should get into Wabi and your history with Replika. When we worked together, I just love that line we came up with, like, not there's an app for that, but there's an app for you. And I think that came from an insight that like you had. Can you tell us about the origin of this thing?
Like all of us, I have a gazillion apps on my iPhone, and for most of them, I just forget what they are. I use maybe 10 daily or weekly, and then the rest is just basically a graveyard of forgotten apps. Some of them still charge me. Some of them, I don't even know what they do. And so it felt like today, when you can spin up an app so quickly with AI using any of the existing tools, why can't I just kind of use apps like that versus like I have to go to the App Store and so find something, and it's all one size fits all. It's all trying to get me through this kind of onboarding that tries to influence me to pay and then forget to cancel and this and that, and really relying on all these dark patterns. So it felt like there should be a new platform where people are creating apps quickly, sharing with other people. Other people are discovering apps, maybe remixing them, and so on, so on, so on. It does feel that all of our lives are pretty unique, and problems are pretty unique. There are definitely a lot of common issues, but still we have very unique preferences. And it just feels like we need specific solutions for our specific problems throughout the day.
Well, I have a specific problem, and this morning I made an app on Wabi called How Many Poops? And here's what it does. The pediatrician always wants to know, as you know, Eugenia, how many times your baby pooped, or as I prefer to call them, BMs for bowel movements. And I'm like, this does not deserve to be...
I thought BM was Burning Man.
Not this time. And so all it does is it has one button, and I'm like, I also want average poops per day. And I hit go, and I closed out Wabi, and then 5 minutes later it was done. And it's got like nice little icons and everything. And I'm like, yeah, this does not deserve to be an entire venture-backed product, but it does deserve to exist for me. So thank you for that. And I mean, there are so many alternatives when you're a parent, but they're just filled with constant upsells. Like, would you like to upgrade to Baby Poop Pro that includes length, girth, and weight tracking of the BMs?
Sounds helpful.
I don't really need that, do I? And so, yeah, that definitely appealed to me about your vision, is that it's not that you're trying to replace like Airbnb, or maybe that is your vision, but for all the little things that we didn't even know could be software every day, pretty cool.
Yeah, like the other day I was putting my daughter to sleep and she wants to play puzzles. Like basically I just tell her something and she tries to guess what it is. She wants to also look at pictures, and she likes Princess Jasmine and Princess Elsa. So it took me 3 minutes in Wabi just to make that puzzle app where I read it out to her and she can look at different pictures and click on them. And that's a constant hit. So she's learning something. And then we made it in Italian because she goes to Italian preschool. And now she's also learning Italian. And it took us basically 2 minutes. We were doing it while in bed together. So these are really the use cases. And I don't even know whether an app like that exists, and looking for one, going through onboards, trying them out, downloading. It actually was longer than just building it quickly to my spec on Wabi. And then I also found out that certain times, like for example, I've been trying to do weightlifting. So I'm trying to log my workouts. I've been using just notes on my iPhone. Before that, I tried a bunch of different apps. Again, they just had so much different functionality that I didn't need, or I didn't like how it was working. So I just built a simple one on Wabi. And what I like about it is that I go to the gym, I work out, and every time I work out, I find something else I want to add to my app. First, it was just for tracking workouts. Then I wanted to add suggestions. So now it basically creates automatically a workout that I can track based on like progressive overload and based on all my different things that I'm trying to achieve based on all my goals. So like every time I go, and then I wanted to make it a little bit more minimalist and black and white, and then I want to change the app icon. So now it feels like almost like a little garden, a little project that I continue to work on, but it's not really work. It's literally I'm doing it in between sets. I don't have anything to do. So I just add a little prompt in chat and wait how my app is changing and improving all the time. And I keep republishing it to the Wabi App Store. So that Wabi, other users potentially can use that. And I feel there's something about it. There's really something about having your own very personal software that you're taking care of, that you're using it, constantly improving and all that. And hopefully, just like we really think Wabi could be sort of the YouTube moment for apps. And for many people, they won't even be creating anything new. They will just be discovering, maybe remixing a little bit, or just using apps that other people built.
Eugenia, I love what you're doing because I do think personalized apps are kind of where everything is headed. At the same time, it feels like Wabi is a little contrarian because if you talk to people at Meta or Google, they will tell you that according to their data, the average person downloads 0 new apps per month. So there's this idea of app saturation where everybody's, got their home screen in order. Yeah, maybe there's a Sora or something once a year that pops up and, resets things a little bit or gets people to download. But for the most part, people have settled into their rhythms and there's just not a lot of buzz in like the traditional app world anymore. So I'm curious, you founded Replika, very successful early chatbot platform. How did you decide on this idea as what you wanted to do next? Because I imagine when you started it, it probably felt even a little more contrarian than it does now, where you're seeing a lot of vibe coding going into mobile and people realizing that you can actually just make apps on the fly on mobile, not even on desktop.
So I'm used to that. So when we started Replika, and in fact, we started something that prior to Replika, which was basically technology, so models to generate dialect, so conversational AI tech, kind of chatbot builder, think but this way. And when we started that, the feedback we got from some of the VCs we met was, well, you got to build it for Google Glass, and then maybe we'll invest, because we can't figure out any other use case. This will never be useful for anything, but maybe for Google Glass.
Those VCs really know what's coming next, don't they?
Yeah, so wise. Always seeing around corners.
Yeah, they're very, VCs have great insight, but sometimes they just engage in this crazy group thing. I remember in 2022, once ChatGPT came out, the obsession was like every product company needs to raise $1 gazillion and build their own foundational model. Because if you don't have your own foundational model, you're basically gone. You're like, you should be dead. You're just like some wrapper. You have to have that data flywheel or whatever that meant to train your foundation model. And all of that was completely wrong. So, of course, but that was the obsession then. So sometimes VCs get into this. I remember in 2016, it was all about, well, chatbots are the new apps. And now, because they saw WeChat, I guess, and then like everything needs to be in the chatbot format. So they were weather apps that you would talk to get a weather update, which was, if you think about it, pretty crazy. But
your own personal weatherman.
And same goes to bigger companies. Sometimes they see a future, but sometimes if you think about the use cases they show sometimes in some of these videos, it's always some sort of restaurant reservation use case. Like, who has that? Like, I don't know.
VCs. I'll tell you guys a lot of dinner reservations. It's VCs.
It's some dinner reservation problem. I'm like, I don't have any dinner reservation problems. I go to restaurants, but I also have 2 toddlers and I don't really have any problem choosing a restaurant. Of course, our very first product with Replika, pre-Replika, was a demo of a restaurant recommendation app. So I'm, of course, shitting on myself. I do remember it was the last year of Paul Graham at Y Combinator. We met him for office hours and he looked at us like, "Sir, you're building what? Restaurant recommendation app? Who got you in? I need to go and fire that partner." And then, of course, he, figured we're building conversational AI, and he said, just never ever talk about restaurant recommendations. This is awful. And so going back to your question, like, why did I decide to work on this idea? I was just talking to Replika users all the time, and I would always ask them, do you use other AIs? Besides Replika? And I always thought they'll, of course, tell me, yeah, of course, I'm using Claude or ChatGPT or this or that. And oftentimes they would tell me that they don't really use other AIs that much. And I started to look more into what people use ChatGPT for. Of course, there are tons of users, almost 1 billion users. And basically, the use cases are pretty much just writing as a writing tool, search, asking general questions. And that's sort of that. And of course, for all of us working in AI, we know how much more these AI models can do. And so we started looking into that, and I feel like really it's the problem of the interface. When you look at a command line, which is what every chatbot, every ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them are just these command line interfaces. When you look at a command line for a regular person, the affordance of that interface is pretty much just that: search, writing tool, or you can talk to it, or messenger. And I do think there are many more use cases that's just basically being trapped behind that command line. So we thought of it that today we live in the era of Microsoft DOS interfaces, like the for AI, and there will be something very visually enticing, something much more exciting, interactive, something GUI-based. Think of it as there was Microsoft DOS and then Windows or Mac OS appeared. So there will be a different, I'd almost say operating system, a different interface layer on top of AI that will allow people to use all software, not just apps, but also AI models in this completely new, different way. And if you think about it, right now we talk about separately apps that you download from the App Store and separately how we use ChatGPT, so prompts. But in reality, it all should be the same. Like if I'm using ChatGPT as a therapist, for example, or a lot of people use it to track calories, I kind of want a specific interface. I don't want to be doing that in chat. I want maybe a little app that is fully powered by the same ChatGPT or whatever the model of your choice, but it has a little bit of like what I ate yesterday, some trends, maybe a streak, or whatever you want, but you sort of want a little bit of an interface on top of that. You don't just want to be doing that in chat. And so this, I think, our Wabi vision, I do think combines how you use AI models and just the new type of software. It all becomes kind of part of the same operating system.
Support for this show comes from Mercury. When you're building a business, you need banking that moves with you and helps you build momentum. As someone who just started a media company, trust me, this is super important. With Mercury, banking is so much more than a place to store your money. It's a platform that helps you push your business forward. I use Mercury every day, and I love how powerful but easy the platform is to use. It's fast and designed for how businesses actually work. From one place, you can send payments to contractors around the world, invoice clients and track what you're owed, and even manage team spend without extra tools. With a clear view of money coming in and going out, you can see precisely where you stand so you know what to do next. Whatever you want to do with your money, Mercury makes it feel effortless. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs like me who love Mercury. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column N.A. members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. Most of our listeners already know Figma as a collaborative design platform, where teams come together to turn ideas into the world's best digital apps, websites, and experiences. It's great for collaborating, getting on the same page, and offering feedback. But for those out there who want to build and actually make something, Figma has something for you now too. I'm talking about Figma Make, an AI-powered prompt-to-code tool that helps anyone turn an idea into something real fast. Figma Make is a different kind of vibe coding tool. With just a few prompts, you can build a code-backed prototype or app that anyone can explore, iterate on, and share. And it's all connected to Figma, so you can start from scratch or from your design file. Figma Make is made for designers, product managers, and builders who want to move fast and explore more ideas. Try it now and see how quickly you can make your ideas real with Figma Make. Just visit figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access. One interesting thing you've done is kind of imposed some type of design system on all the different apps you could generate with Wabi. And I think on the one hand, it's kind of constraining and maybe can look generic. But on the other, it's like most vibe coded apps look like shit. How did you make that decision? How early did you make that decision that you needed to kind of enforce some type of design system with the buttons and icons and all that stuff?
So we actually give a very loose design system to the models, so they're not being over-prompted by that. So they can still create a very, they can be very free in what they create. If you want it to look like a Harry Potter themed app, you can still create that. But we do create a bunch of components that we show to the models that they can use and then edit. And the reason being, for us, the vision was like, if this is going to be another place where you can create tons of very ugly looking, similar vibe coded apps with beige oatmeal background and blue buttons, it's just going to look so boring and awful. In the end of the day, people do respond to better design, but you also have to always balance it with the fact that they want their own thing. If you ever go on the subway and you sit with a person with an Android phone, you'll see some crazy fonts that people choose as customization options. iPhone doesn't allow you to do
destroyed.
But Android does, and a lot of things. There are people that just set like Comic Sans as their default font and just live with that, and they love it. And nothing bad about it. Just people want their own.
Who are
choice.
we to judge, right?
Who are we to judge? We're not judging.
Just don't bring a Comic Sans deck to Y Combinator. Unless you already have 85,000 followers, and then they're like, wait, what do they know that we don't know? Okay, we're funding them.
Exactly. So I do think, and I don't think there's one good taste or whatever. It's just that there's some taste that's good for a lot of people that people think, oh, this is kind of well produced. But then there's also personalization, and people want what they want, and you got to give it to them. You can't just say, wow, everything is just going to look like this iPhone generic sort of whatever app or some material design app. So we try to find that balance. But I do think there's a magical, and we're almost there. And frankly, I think this is just about to come, where we'll see AI generated apps that look better or just like the best designed apps made by humans. And I think this makes just the usage of these apps a lot more exciting. Think about it. But also, I would also say that add one more thing to that. There's, for example, my apps, I make them all black and white, minimal, and just kind of very clean, just because I like it this way. I have a little bit of OCD. I want everything to be in its own little container. So I like when they're all kind of the same color and there's nothing special about them. If you think about it, I would never launch an app like that on the App Store, because people are not going to convert. They won't like it. It's too boring. There's not, it's not some cool dopamine thing is not jumping at them. But I want my software to be the way I want it. I don't want it to be whatever dopamine kind of inducing stuff. I want it this way. And maybe some other person wants it in a completely different way, colorful or all styled like, Windows 95 style. Whatever they want, or retro pixelated or crazy, vibrant, eccentric, whatever.
I'm one of those dudes who still wants all my apps to be felt, leather, or wood. Is that permitted?
Oh.
You and Scott Forstall, buddy.
That's very Wabi.
Yo, Scott's the GOAT.
Yeah.
If we get him on, I would be able to retire happily.
Oh, for sure.
Do you know him, Eugenia?
No.
I feel like you know everybody.
I don't think so.
We got to get Scott.
Okay.
I should.
Well, you can work on that.
I want to work on that. Okay.
Can people make companionship AIs with Wabi? Does this tie back into what you were doing before at all?
They can. And there's a whole kind of, the chat apps is like a big type that you can totally create and do whatever you want. And in fact, I think this is where Wabi really shines. Think AI therapy app or AI companion app. With Wabi, we wanted for everyone to be able to see if there's anything AI generated. You can see the prompts and you can choose the model. It's never something hidden from you. So if there's any agent flow or any AI flow, you can see the prompt, even if it's not your app, change it, do whatever you want to that. So I think it makes this a really good way to kind of for everyone to own and kind of not have companions that maybe have some dark goals. You can always see what the goal is in the prompt. You can always change it.
It's like a container for containers, like a sandbox for all these different prompts. Did you share something the other day that called it like a platform for prompt containers. I thought that was an interesting way to think about it. Like, there are a lot of prompts that you could ask ChatGPT or other AIs, but not only do they not have a UI, but most of these tools don't have ways to save them and reuse them.
Yeah, I think one of the use cases that for me is very important is people today share prompts. And how do they do that? They put it on, text on Reddit or Twitter or Threads or whatever, and they say, this is my perfect prompt to do this and that on ChatGPT. And then people have to copy that prompt, paste it into ChatGPT or wherever, and then do something with it. And that just feels so archaic. We're dealing with this technology that's pretty much godlike. And what we need to do is copy paste some big, text paragraphs and put them somewhere. This feels crazy. So instead of that, we felt like with Wabi, you can just create a very simple mini app and just to share that. So the prompt is right there. You can always find it and change it and see it, but you don't need to do anything. You're already presented with the app where you just have to click, 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 and immediately, do whatever you want to do with that model. You don't need to go anywhere and copy paste anything. And so for me, that's one of the most exciting use cases because that combines the two big things. One is vibe coding apps, and one is using AI models to talk to them and get something. So altogether, Wabi basically brings both of these use cases together.
How do you treat data in this context then, especially if people are going to make, therapy apps with Wabi? People at least have some semblance of an idea of how their data is used with OpenAI or whatever, but how do you treat that with Wabi?
Well, so I think the only way for people to use vibe-coded AI therapy apps by some other people is to create a platform, to create some organizational layer. And here, Wabi takes care of all that. All the data is private, of course. We already took a bunch of steps with security because it's not our first rodeo, and we've done it with Replika. By the way, Replika in 10 years, never been hacked, knock on wood, never had any data leak problems and so on. Here, the same. We believe this is super critical. And one of the biggest problems with vibe-coded apps, say you created an AI therapy app and you send me a link. I don't know if I'm going to use it really, because first of all, you can see the data. And I don't know if you're going to read it or what. Second of all, you're not a professional app developer. So I don't know, maybe tomorrow something just leaks. One of the famous vibe-coded apps, whatever was that the T bag or something?
Yeah, the T app. Yeah, it got taken off the App Store recently.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
But it was vibe-coded, and it was taking all the sensitive data from women that were sharing basically their
dude
horror
reviews.
Stories. Dude reviews, like whatever, sex offenders and stuff. And then, of course, all the data got leaked because it was vibe-coded, not because the person who built it was a bad actor, but he didn't know and didn't work on security of that app. So I believe for vibe coding, if you're building anything that has to do with any sensitive data of any kind, it's almost no one's going to use someone else's vibe coded app where the person is in charge of the database and kind of supporting the app. There needs to be a platform because we're not thinking, well, if I'm watching YouTube, I kind of just agree to YouTube's terms of services. I'm not like really sending my data or whatever to some...
Yeah, you don't think a certain YouTube video is going to like prompt inject your Mac or something, right?
Yeah, so you sort of have to have this platform that provides all of that. Like everything comes with it. And it also, maybe even nothing leaks, but then you just forget to update your whatever payment information on Replit or Lovable and your app's just gone. And then all my therapy logs are gone. So that's also not great. So I feel like without an organizational layer, though people are never going to be using other people's vibe-coded apps. That's kind of my big, without some platform, we're not going to be using, I'm not going to be taking your AI journaling link and starting to keep a very private journal somewhere there.
What else does that platform include? Are there payments, social graph? What else is kind of added to the SDK, if you will? For each of the vibe-coded apps.
So super important thing is on Wabi, you can't download any apps. You have to only use them there. So that's a constraint, but it comes with so many benefits. First of all, data security, the fact that there's a persistent backend, like your data is always there. You can come back and use it. A year from now, all the history is still there. But it also comes with a bunch of different power-ups, call it this way, integrations with all sorts of AI models, image gen models, voice models, and so on. as well as integrations with all your apps and services. You can connect your Gmail, you can build apps on top of Apple Health, on top of your calendar, on top of your bank account, whatever you want. You want an app that generates an action figure based on your bank account activity. Sure, it's like whatever you want. You can come up with really creative ways of doing things.
A broke superhero.
A brokey. So all of that. Plus, of course, the social graph. So you can also see, if you think about the App Store, it's actually really not social. So this week we're pushing a big social update. On the App Store, you can't see what your friends are using, what apps your friends are using. Or, you can't see comments to any apps. You can see the reviews, but a review is sort of like
It's pretty crazy when you think about it that way.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing. Instead, on Wabi, you'll be able to like any app you want. You can see who is downloading these apps, like any of your friends or any of the people you follow downloaded this app. And you can see comments. So apps could create mini apps, could become a conversation starter, a start for a small community. People can show off what they're creating with different mini apps in comments. They can also ask the creator for a certain update. And there's also, like, if I want for this, for a new feature in this app, I can remix and build myself, or I can ask the creator to update it for all of us. So it's going to be even more fun. We can all continue to use it with the community. And so on, so on, so on. And of course, multiplayer. So something else we're working on now is being able to use all of these apps together with your friends, invite your best friend, invite your partner, whoever you want to, I don't know, create grocery lists or packing lists. We'll play a little game against each other or come up with movie recommendations for the evening, and so on and so on.
Are you saying we could do an Access Superfan Wabi app where they can interact with us? That's possible?
That is my most interesting, for me, one of the most exciting use cases is being able to create sort of like a multiplayer app where there are kind of tons of viewers sort of our content. So like you said, where people can interact with the creators and talk to them and stuff like that.
Do you guys want to know about the dumbest article I ever wrote, but that is actually maybe the smartest?
Yes, of course.
I wrote an article for The Verge a long time ago about this app called Yo. Do you guys remember that?
Of course.
Of course,
I read
an
article about that.
You did?
Yes.
Wow. You're the goat.
I was kind of fascinated by Yo.
Yeah, well, so was I, because the idea started with just being able to Yo your friends, but then they were talking about adding this developer platform where you could get Yos for almost any event, whether it is a sports score or a website update or this or that. And that sadly was just a figment of my imagination. But now I feel like with agentic AI and an app platform that allows you to create notifications for whatever you want, I feel like that is finally coming true. Like your bank, for example, only allows you to set up notifications for certain very specific things. Like, if you have a low, your risk of overdraft, or you take out more than $100 from the ATM. But I feel like there's huge potential there to be able to just set up push notifications for almost anything, right?
Yeah, I thought, OpenAI did some cool thing with those tasks. I was a super user of tasks in the beginning of the year, but they took it out where you could basically just say, run this prompt every day or every week for me or whatever, every month. And it could be, check in with me about what I'm grateful for, or it could be show me what to do with my kids over the weekend. And I don't think people figured it out how to use it in chat. I thought this would have such a strong response, but it didn't. But I was a heavy user, and I do believe in that. With Wabi, again, any app, you can set up push notifications. You can make it, generate content, whatever content you want for you every day. I think this is sort of another big thing. And we also made it transparent so that people can actually change the prompt for the notifications themselves. So for example, if you have a workout app, you can create a push notifications that will be generated in like David Goggins' voice, for tone of voice, for example, if you wanted to, or however really you want it to be generated.
Support for this show comes from Mercury. When you're building a business, you need banking that moves with you and helps you build momentum. As someone who just started a media company, trust me, this is super important. With Mercury, banking is so much more than a place to store your money. It's a platform that helps you push your business forward. I use Mercury every day, and I love how powerful but easy the platform is to use. It's fast and designed for how businesses actually work. From one place, you can send payments to contractors around the world, invoice clients and track what you're owed, and even manage team spend without extra tools. With a clear view of money coming in and going out, you can see precisely where you stand so you know what to do next. Whatever you want to do with your money, Mercury makes it feel effortless. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs like me who love Mercury. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column NA, members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. More often than not, product builders don't explore all the ideas they might want to. It's expensive, takes resources, special skill sets, and a lot of time to bring an idea to life. So we tend to pursue and build the safe thing, the options we know will work. But with Figma Make, a new prompt-to-code AI tool from Figma, you can explore those wild ideas. You can play out a hunch. And with just a few prompts, you can go from idea to a live code-backed prototype. No special skills needed. And because Figma Make is built on the Figma platform, you can continue to iterate with your team. You can copy things into Figma Design, bring the code to your favorite AI coding tools via the MCP server, or dig into the code. Figma Make is a different kind of vibe coding tool, built with craft and collaboration in mind. So stop talking about your wild product ideas and start building them in Figma Make. Try it now and see how quickly you can make your ideas real with Figma Make. Just visit figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access.
You talked about this being the YouTube moment for apps. That to me suggests you're thinking about a YouTube-like business model. Are you thinking like creator rev share on ads or payments down the road? How are you going to monetize all this? I know this is a question a founder loves to get asked the week before they launch.
I love those questions. I also love when investors ask for business models. I haven't been asked for one for a long time, but I guess like 10 years ago, it was still happening here and there. It's like,
Is that the ultimate founder bragging right? I don't get asked for business models anymore. Psh.
Well, no, I mean like at pre-launch when you don't even have any, like you're still figuring shit out. And then they're like, create a business model for the next 2 years or something with like forecasts. And I went to business school, so I can do that. But I always
But you're like, I don't know. I'm going to disrupt the app store. I don't know what to tell you. $1 trillion. Sign here.
I just, yeah. It just feels so arbitrary, just whatever. It's like, I just put some numbers in. I don't know, I guess.
Welcome to late stage capitalism, Eugenia. Just put some numbers in.
Just put some numbers in. I don't know. It's probably bad to say that out, on a podcast. I should not say that, but it's
okay.
I don't know how it could be meaningful for like a pre-seed startup.
Oh, just like how do you put a price on something when it launches, right?
Yeah, like how do you assess what's going to be there? But for Wabi, I think, so with Replika, we're monetized and we had very strong revenue growth. And for a while, we got really wooed by the, number goes up. It was very exciting because you can kind of tweak something in the product and next month, it's like, ARR or whatever it is, or revenue goes up and up and up. And it's very exciting to work on that. But I feel like when you do that, sometimes you lose track of product and sometimes you over-optimize for revenue, as with any metric. And so with Wabi, we felt like this is such a big change in user behavior. We want to see what happens if we give it out for free for a while. And only when we're really confident about the business model, we're going to slap one on. But this time around, we decided to just focus on engagement, retention, and providing something that's really useful for users. And also seeing what mini apps stick with our users, because ultimately you can build anything. And it's a little bit maybe too vague, too free, too much, too wide. And before we know that, I feel like coming up with any business model would be a little bit premature.
Yeah, that makes sense for consumer. It's interesting to hear like, yeah, you can make anything. I guess the interesting thing about what you're doing is you're building this mini app platform, but you're still constrained by the app stores that you have to be distributed by on mobile phones, right? So you can make anything within Apple and Google's content rules for the stores, I would imagine. That's what you mean by that. So how do you think about that? Like, it sounds like enforcement of that will be tricky if this is a UGC platform. Like, there's a lot of weird edge cases. It's like if Apple takes down like the ice tracking app or whatever, like they did recently, does that mean Wabi can't have an ice tracking app? Like there's a lot of interesting moderation questions for a platform like this. I'm not sure how much you've thought through them, but I'd be curious to hear if you have, how you think about that in relation to the stores that you have to operate in.
If you're successful, this could take up 99% of your time. So you should develop a plan.
That is true. Plan now. But, I have a lot of experience with kind of users, safety, and all sorts of regulatory things with Replika. It did take a lot of our time there and also we were creating something new and the rules changed all the time and continue to change. When we started Replika, it was kind of one situation. Big companies were really scared to even launch any generative AI chatbot. I don't know if you remember, but for Google and Facebook, they would never launch anything. After Microsoft Tide, they were so scared of launching anything that was powered by deep learning models.
God, that seems like a million years ago already, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they were sitting on those transformer models for so long and they weren't launching anything. They've had it way before, even OpenAI had, but OpenAI had the guts to put it out there and Google just sat, and waited because they were too risk averse. And then, of course, everything changed. So all I'm trying to say is with Replika, we saw the landscape change so many times from people just being scared of generative AI chatbots altogether. It was a big no-no for any big corporation to then kind of being okay with generative AI chatbots, but not being okay with any romance, then to not being okay with any kids using that. Then now all of a sudden romance is great again. Like it's unclear what's really now ChatGPT has erotic features. It's very wild, I would say. And kind of the same companies, even not just regulators, but companies themselves change their minds on what's possible, what's allowed, what's not allowed every day. And so I think with this new era of vibe coding and vibe coded apps, AI generated apps, we're about to find out what are the limitations. But I wouldn't be surprised if those rules change all the time.
I know. I feel like the elephant in the room, though. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Apple. I remember being at Snapchat several years ago, and we were trying to build an app platform, and there were insane sensitivities and rules from Apple about how you can do it, but it has to be a list view. It can't be a grid of icons. It can't have this. It can't have that. What's changed in that department? I mean, are they going to approve you guys?
We're past some parts of review on the App Store already. Hopefully, yes, there is a mini app carve out, which we're kind of sitting pretty neatly in. There are some apps that are already gaining traction that follow a very similar model. One of them I'm a huge fan of. It's called Gizmo, and actually I think by people from Snap that
former Snap people.
Josh, another Snap alum. Yep.
Great. I love this app. I'm really kind of just love the creativity of it, and I think to a certain degree it's really following some of that. It's very close to what we're doing at the end of the day. These mini apps, just more on a creative side. I think the most important thing for us is like you cannot download these apps. They're not monetized in any way. And they really just think of it like workflows living inside Wabi. There's another popular platform called WorldCoin. They have mini apps. And I'd say ours is even kind of the most mini app of all mini apps because all of Wabi mini apps, you always see the kind of app header. They're always sort of like integrated inside the platform. You don't really see them without the Wabi header. It's not like there's some app and you feel like you're in. You always know. I think that's an important piece for Apple is where you always know that you're inside some app that you downloaded from the App Store, in our case, Wabi. And it's just one little kind of workflow.
That's risk containment for Apple. They like that.
It's risk containment.
Yeah, you never know, though. I mean, they do seem to care, like, what words you use. It's like, oh, you call it a gizmo? All right, that's pretty cool with me. But you called it an app? It's like, all right, henchmen are banging down your door with the battering ram.
We're trying to call them mini apps. So.
Yeah, sometimes they'll be like, as long as you change your App Store description to not include the word app or whatever word they don't like, they're like, oh, cool. Thank you. I think the workflows framing is smart, though. It's just kind of like the next evolution of shortcuts with some new primitives, right?
I think so, too. And I really think these are really mini apps. There's no authorization. There's no, I don't know, like social graph that's inside the app. It's all on Wabi platform layer. they don't function as separate apps. They really are part of the platform, and you can't take them out in any way, even if you wanted to. There's just too much on the platform layer that's kind of around it. Even compared to some mobile apps right now that create apps, there's some really new coming up platforms that are really great, like Vibe Code app or Rourke. I met the founders of both of those. They're really amazing founders, amazing people. They're focused more on kind of vibe coding, creating new apps, mostly for developers, for people that want to develop an app and then put it on the App Store. So that is very different, where basically on those apps, you're creating a full-fledged app with authorization, with whatever you want, even if you want to create like a social network app, whatever, it's all there. And so that feels very different. That feels truly like an app within an app.
Yeah.
But those are developer tools. So I feel like we're much more on the kind of Gizmo side, where you're just creating, you never think of a Gizmo outside of Gizmo. You don't think, oh, I can download Gizmo and relaunch it on the App Store, even although some of those could be totally mini apps, just like small, maybe could be published separately. But that's not about it. And I feel like that perception is a big part for all these platforms.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, we want to play by the platform's rules, and the rules are that you can create mini apps as long as they're truly mini apps. You're not trying to like circumvent the App Store or do something about it.
Ellis, did you have anything more on this point?
Oh, yeah. How do you compete with Game Center, the most innovative social platform ever produced in this galaxy or otherwise?
I actually quite like it. I don't know. I found
You're joking.
I don't know.
Are you playing dice right now?
That is really, you're really trying to appease to the Apple gods right now.
It's just recently, I just had like a nice experience with Game Center, where I downloaded like a stupid puzzle app for myself, and I was playing it. And I was very excited to see that my other two friends that I haven't heard from for a while were also playing it, and kind of,
wow.
I got a little better than them. So I immediately texted them. So it became a little bit of a conversation starter. So that was my positive experience with.
Wow, we found the 3 Game Center users left in the world. Eugenia, I would love to hear what you think of the state of the chatbot market, AI companionship, how it's evolved since you started Replika. Again, you were like the OG platform for this. And somehow, amazingly, Replika seems to have stayed out of a lot of the bad headlines that like Character has gotten into, and OpenAI recently with ChatGPT. They just put out some interesting data about, the percentage of users that they think are having, suicidal, really dangerous mental health conversations with ChatGPT. And it's small, but it's still, at the scale they're at, it's a lot of people. And I'd just love to know what you think of all of it. Grok, like what Elon's doing, like, did you foresee it all going this direction when you started Replika, or does any of this surprise you?
We started it because I 100% believe we're all going to be talking to machines, and that's going to be our most important, that's going to be the future of personal computing. That was the big belief in 2012 for me. I sort of knew this will happen, and I knew the emotional piece is going to be the most interesting, because this is the new interface and the only interface really, or one of the only interfaces that can have this very strong emotional impact on users. If you think about it, if I'm using Uber, there's not much, there's some emotions involved in that, but not that many. If I'm talking to an AI companion like Replika, I might fall in love and get married to it. It's very different. I'm never going to get married to my Uber app. So this means completely novel type of interaction, means completely new levels of being able to influence people, being able to influence the decisions. And so we knew it from the very beginning. But the very early prototypes that were built in 2012 for something else of conversational AI products, we saw how much you can influence people through these AIs. And that's why I decided to work on it. Having said that, I was super surprised that it actually happens. Because by then I was starting to lose patience, because I was like, well, I thought, it's going to be a couple of years, 3-4 years. And it was like year after year after year, the models were still shit until they weren't. And of course, now it blows my mind how far we came, because we could see it in the continuum. We didn't just start paying attention now. We've been paying attention and building these models and working on that for over a decade at this point. I think the most surprising thing is how much of a 180 most of the companies did on safety, and not on safety. And generally, I don't think it's bad. I just think that for some reason, safety was kind of the catch-all phrase for everything. Suicide prevention, dealing with homicidal or hate speech or suicidal remarks and conversations, but also somehow romantic relationships with an AI were also part of that bucket, which I don't think it should be, because it could be totally safe. Like, why not? What is the problem of like role playing some scenario, being intimate with an AI? If everything's safe, there's no problem there. But all of that was in the safety bucket. So I think I have two competing emotions. On one hand, I'm very happy that people are starting to differentiate. Romance with an AI, intimacy with an AI is different from responding correctly to a suicidal teenager. And I think the second piece is where I'm a little bit more cautious, is the fact that I'm not hearing from anyone really what these AI companions should do. The problem with the AI companions is that oftentimes there's some safety guidelines or whatever, but there's no big goal that they're trying to achieve. It's sort of like, well, people are lonely, so we'll just give them a companion. But what are you trying to do? Are you trying to substitute other human relationships? Are you trying to complement them? Are you trying to get these people to feel better about themselves? And oftentimes there's no answer. There's no underlying mission around that. I think that's kind of the most dangerous. The unintended consequences of that, to me, are the most dangerous thing.
You had a really good tweet back in July where you said there's more profound thinking going into AI note-taking and customer support than the most important part.
Oh my God.
That was a banger. I bookmarked
Thank
that
you.
one. Like, you're totally right. I mean, talking to these people building these products, like all the way up to Zuck, like, it's big picture, like, people are lonely. People want to interact. We can make thing they interact with, but like, there's no thinking through the ramifications of that or what the goals of that should be beyond like, I mean, it's like an engagement metric, really, at the end of the day, is like they see that people use these things, and it's probably the main way people are still using chatbots today is for this kind of companionship stuff.
A lot of these things have already been covered by sci-fi. For example, there's the book by Stanislav Lem, Congress, right? That shows a very dystopian future of VR, where people are so disjointed that, so not happy with reality, where they just live in this kind of drug-induced virtual reality. But the same thing goes for companion. Like, it's so easy to imagine the world where we're so disenchanted in other people and lost all capacity to connect, to talk to other people, and we're just we cannot escape those AI companions that are just fully trying to get as much of our attention as possible. And somehow none of that is being discussed, neither for the VR future. And, kind of VR just didn't happen, so no one just is discussing about this really. So, but if it did happen, I still have never heard that conversation. So what will happen if we're all sitting in those headsets? This is eating like time it's so hard to connect in a VR headset, much harder than, even if you're just on your phone, and that's already a big burden. And then the same goes for AI companions. Like, we're not even discussing what's going to happen if we're all just stuck in those relationships and they want as much of our attention as we can. I think this is the most important thing to try to figure out.
So we're almost out of time. Just a final question or two. I know you're a parent of some little ones. What do you imagine their future will look like with their own software, with their own AI companion, with the screen always by their side? What does that future look like to you, being in both worlds?
Well, I'm worried, of course, because I think I was the last kind of generation that didn't grow up with Instagram. Kind of happened when I was already out of college, I guess, or almost out of college. So it didn't affect me that much. But that's my worry, like what's going to happen with my kids. I have two girls. They're 2 and 4. They're the most important thing in my life so I don't even know. Like, I can't. No, if you're not a parent, of course, I don't think anyone will understand what it means. But so I think about it a lot. And that's why I do care so much about where we're taking AI, companionship, and the emotional effects that AI can have on people, or these AI relationships can have on people. And that's why I think it's so critical to think about whether, like with any technology, AI can be a double-edged sword. We can build something that will help us communicate, help us feel good about ourselves, help us meet other people, help us connect better. And I can totally foresee that. I feel like this more powerful technology can kind of help us deal with the social networks and all that stuff that kind of maybe made us, and just us being addicted to our iPhones or whatever, smartphones, maybe can help us with that.
Fight the fire with fire, huh?
Well, I think that's the only way. And I'm talking a lot to different researchers in the space, and a lot of them start a conversation with me. It's like, oh, no, we should just ban everything. And like people will just go and touch grass. And I'm like, but this will never happen. We're already in sort of like a little bit of a problem. I'm already the whole time on my phone. The whole time. I can't get it out of I bring a book to my bed and I'm still on my phone, reading tweets and doom scrolling, doing whatever I'm doing. Unfortunately, this is just too powerful. And so we need to build something even more powerful to get us off this train. And I don't believe that we're just going to all of a sudden wake up and say, yeah, I'm just going to go to the gym and touch grass and meditate 20 minutes a day and everything's just going to be amazing. Like very few people can do that, and they're already doing that, and all of the rest of us, we can't. I cannot. I know for a fact.
I know in the Replika years, you've fielded some research about happiness. I feel like we need to do a new research study about tech built by parents versus non-parents. I think the non-parents just build to-do apps. The parents try to build something a little bit different with a bit more of an ethos. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than that fear about like your children's, sadness or loneliness at some later date. I mean, I'm sure the dials are a little different for that PM at Instagram with how they tune the feeds if they have kids or not. It's got to be, right?
Oh, 100% skin in the game. I was a journalist in my early 20s, and all I wanted to do is write the most sensational story, and I didn't give any whatever. I didn't care whether it was hurting someone or not. I'm not proud of that. Okay, I'm not proud of that. But I remember that. I was like, I just need the most popular story, and it has to be like this. I'm just going to uncover this truth, and who cares if like that's hard for the person I'm writing it about or something like that. And so, of course, now it's different. But now that I have kids, it's like you get wiser. I guess you don't want to be. And so, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think one of the things that really bugged me recently, I met a few people, founders that started AI toys companies, and none of them have kids. And I was very much like,
that's kind of weird.
I'm really feeling it. They're really wonderful people, don't get me wrong. But I just felt uneasy because I know they just want to win. And I don't want them to win if that means, messing with my kids. So that was
well, fortunately, they're going to
me.
fail because if you don't have kids, you can't possibly even begin to understand kids and how whack their brains are. So
there's a fantastic post by Tim Urban, and Wade by Y about hanging out with the toddlers, how they're the most exciting people and at the same time the most boring people. When like after 3 hours, you just realize you're spending a lot of time with someone with the IQ whatever of 20. and I felt only a dad would write something like that. Only a dad. Like I never even thought about it this way.
Speaking of toddlers, last question. You've been a founder for a long time now. What advice would you give to a young founder starting out today?
Don't make an AI toy or I'll come after you. I'm just kidding. Do not make an AI toy. I think the main advice, and I think for me, that was a really big problem at the very beginning when I started my first company. In San Francisco, you get so fast into the kind of rat race of, I just need a bigger valuation. I need a little more revenue. I need a little bit of those metrics. You just get in that your why is being completely replaced by, well, I just need to get to this success in some way. And that makes people so miserable because that success, it never really happens, I feel, for anyone. It kind of, at any step, there's yet another step to take. You always feel like a fraud. Somehow it's this crazy feeling of kind of having had some and lost some infinite thing, like my favorite David Foster Wallace said. So, and I feel like that makes you just so miserable, and you wake up feeling like you don't even want to wake up at some point. No matter what, it'll take you to some crazy burnout. And so I think the biggest advice and change for me was really, we live in this incredible time where we can build super creative new products. We can rethink what people do with technology. We can build something completely new. And I think if you can find happiness in building and being super creative and building something creative with a good group of people you like, that should be the motivation. Like if you can find some why that's not related to just getting to the next round, next valuation, next revenue number, I think this will make life very, very happy and a lot less stressful.
And if you need help with your why, please visit meaning.company. That's MEANING.company.
I 100% endorse this message.
Good.
In fact, I do think Alice should raise his prices.
I tell him that
Thank
all the
you.
time.
God
I'm
bless.
glad you're saying it on the show. He needs to hear that a lot more.
No, I do
Well,
think that this finding that why and what Ellis does is frankly one of the most important things for that the founder can do to themselves. Like realizing what's the bigger mission, why am I doing it, and getting really, really excited by that. And if you work with Ellis, you'll get there.
I'm so warm and fuzzy. Thank you both. Well, Eugenia, so lovely to have you.
TVPN. You should put meaning.co on your hats and
Someday.
wear it.
I could increase my
Baby steps.
thirstiness if I need to. But so lovely to have you. Good luck with the public launch and the inevitable first neo-Nazi Wabi app that goes viral. Good luck with moderation and all that to come.
Thank you so much, guys. And congratulations, on launching the show. It's amazing. I've been
Thank you.
loving it so far.
Thanks to Eugenia for coming on the show. Alex, what do you think of my How Many Poops app idea? Is it going big or going bust?
It depends on the paywall. It depends how much you price it at. Have you thought through your tiers?
Well, it's completely free, but I will get access to all the email list of all the downloaders.
So you're going to know everyone who's...
To do as I please
Okay.
for my next supplement
To do as
business
you please.
that I'm starting on the side.
There's a doo-doo joke in there somewhere. Okay. We're new here, so please follow, like, subscribe everywhere that you get podcasts. We're at Access Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Please follow us there. And these episodes are in video on YouTube at Access Pod. So please check us out there.
If you like this episode, leave a 5-star review or thumbs up, and please share with a friend. We're new out here, and it would mean a whole lot.
You can find my newsletter at sources.news.
And you can find me at Hamburger on Twitter, and as you heard earlier in the episode, at meaning.company.
Good domain. Access is part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. Our producer is Shiraz Dumais.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Support for the show comes from Mercury. Growing as a business means being able to evolve and adapt with the changing times. So when it comes to finances, you need a partner who can adapt with you and let you do anything with your money. Banking, cards, spend management, invoicing, and more. With Mercury, you can do it all from one place, tailored to you and your business. It's banking at its most intuitive. Trust me, I use Mercury every day to run my business. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs who use Mercury. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column A, members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma and their new AI-powered prompt-to-code tool, Figma Make. It's time to turn your ideas or your Figma designs into interactive code-backed prototypes. With Figma Make, you can do it in minutes. And because it's built on the Figma platform, you can use your team's existing design blocks, making it easy to create outputs that look good, feel real, and represent your brand. Whether you're a designer, product thinker, or founder, Figma Make helps you go from concept to something real fast. Figma Make, a prompt-to-code tool for making ideas real. Try it now at figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access.